screamed at me to run. It's fine. He won't kill you in public. Probably. Maybe. Lovely party. I'm afraid my invitation got lost in the mail, but I made it, I said when he neared. I plucked a glass off the nearby tray and held it out. Champagne? Your invitation isn't what's lost, Miyakara. The velvety endearment would have been swoon-worthy had it not been for the darkness seething beneath the surface. He didn't touch the offered drink. What are you doing here? Enjoying the food and artwork. I brought the glass to my lips and took a sip. Nothing tastes quite as sweet as liquid courage. You have exquisite taste, though your manners could use improvement. A hard smile slashed across his mouth. How ironic you're already lecturing me on manners when you're the one who showed up uninvited to a private event. We're engaged. I stopped beating around the bush and cut straight to the heart of the matter. The faster I got this out of the way, the faster I could leave. We haven't exchanged a single word since the dinner, even though I'm supposed to move in next week. I don't expect love declarations and flowers every day, though that'll be nice. But I do expect basic courtesy and communication skills. Since you appear incapable of taking the initiative, I did it myself. I finished my drink and set it down. Oh, and don't consider this me showing up uninvited. Consider it me accepting your invitation early. After all, you did agree to me moving in, did you not? I simply wanted to look at my new home before I committed to it. My pulse raced with nerves, but I kept an even tone. I couldn't set a precedent of backing down whenever Dante was upset. If he sensed any weakness, he'd pounce. Dante's smile didn't reach his eyes. This was quite a speech. You certainly didn't have this much to say at dinner the other night. A cold steel of his voice melted into rough silk as his gaze swept over me, gathering heat the further it traveled. I almost don't recognize you. The intimacy of his double meaning throbbed into my veins and dropped between my legs. My tweed and pearls were safely tucked in the back of my closet now that I'd returned to New York. Instead, I wore a classic black cocktail dress, heels, and my favorite red lipstick. Diamonds glittered around my neck and on my ears. It wasn't anything groundbreaking, but it was the best I can do when rushing to get ready. However, the intensity of Dante's scrutiny made me feel like I'd showed up to a church reunion in a string bikini. My stomach tightened when his gaze trailed from my face down over my chest to where my dress hugged my hips. It skimmed over the bare length of my legs. The perusal almost obscene in its laziness and erotic in its thoroughness. Like the caress of a lover determined to map every inch of my body with his attention. My throat dried. A flame ignited lower in my stomach, and I suddenly wished I'd worn a conservative suit again tonight. It was safer, less capable of fogging my mind with rough draws and electric attraction. What were we talking about? Different occasions required different approaches. I grasped for words and hoped they made sense. I cocked an eyebrow, praying Dante couldn't hear how fast my heart was beating. I knew it was physically impossible, but I couldn't shake the eerie sense he could see straight through me, like I was nothing more than 1,000 pieces of broken transparent glass. You might want to try that strategy sometime, I added, determined to keep the conversation going so I didn't sink into a mind-numbing heat of his stare again. People might like you better. I would if I cared about others' opinions. He dragged his eyes back up to mine. The picture of mockery cruelty. Once more, unlike some of the esteemed guests, I would derive my self-worth from what people think of me. The insinuation hit me in the gut, and my skin went from overly hot to ice cold in the blink of an eye. No one flipped a switch from tolerable to asshole faster than Dante Russo. It took every ounce of willpower not to toss the nearest drink in his face. He had some nerve, but the worst part was he wasn't wrong. The insults with a grain of truth always cut the deepest. that candle out of the way. Good, because I assure you, their opinion of you is quite low, I snapped. Do not slap him. Do not make a scene. I took a deep breath and wrapped it up before I went against my own advice. As delightful as I found our conversation, I have to excuse myself, as I have other places to be. However, I expect all logistic information related to my move to be in my inbox by tomorrow at noon. I would hate to have to show up in front of your building and reveal your incompetence of your neighbors. I touched the diamond pendant around my throat. Imagine how embarrassing it would be if people found out the great Dante Russo couldn't coordinate something as simple as his fiancée's move-in. Dante's glare could have melted the gold frames hanging on the walls. You might not care what others personally think of you, but reputation is everything in business. If you can't handle your home life, how can you possibly handle your office dealings? I took a business card out of my clutch and tucked it into the jacket pocket of his suit. I assume you already have my contact information, but in case you don't, here's my card. I look forward to your email. I walked away before he can respond. The heat of his anger lashed at my back, but I detected a tiny flash of something else in his eyes before I left. Respect. I kept walking, my heart in my throat and my feet moving faster and faster until I reached the nearest guest bathroom. Only when the door closed behind me did I slump against the wall and cover my face with my hands. Breathe. My surge of adrenaline was already faded, leaving me drained and anxious. I stood off against Dante and won, for now, but I wasn't naive enough to think that it was over with. Even if standing up to him had garnished me grudging points in his eyes, he would have let an uneven score against him stand. Somehow, I'd enter into a cold war with my fiancé, and tonight was just the opening battle. And that concludes Chapter 5. That was pretty intense. That was a good chapter. Drop in the comments, let me know what you think about it, and make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Until Chapter 6, guys. See you all in the next video.